Okay, so let us recapitulate what we studied in my last class. Basically, we studied communication. Okay, we studied communication, and basically we studied what do you mean by the term communication and communication process and forms of communication, means the types of communication. Today we'll recapitulate this thing, and after that I will use some audiovisual material so that it would enhance your knowledge, because some of you are saying that it is only audio class. So the best technique is to use audio visual media. PowerPoint is a backdated thing, so I would use audio visual media. Actually, I have some material from IIM, and actually I did a course on business communication, so I had that material. Today I'll share this material with you. Okay. So without wasting any further time, let us start. First, let us recapitulate. Just a minute. Let me share my screen. Just a minute. Now can you see the screen? Tell me, is the screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, sorry about my handwriting. Basically, just to recapitulate, communication is derived from the Latin word that is communi, means we use somebody use the term instead of communi, communica. So basically the most common word is communi. Just a minute. Now, what is communication? I told you that it has to follow some process. So what process it has to follow? Field, that is, first we need to have sender. Then what the sender will do, he will use the message. What is the message? The idea that he or she needs to communicate. Then comes encoding. Okay, encoding means putting word to the message, using word to the message. Then from encoding, I'll come to the next line. I will use channel of communication. Now, what channel I will use, that is whether it will be a say audio medium or video medium or written material, that I need to decide, and after that it will go to the receiver, and then receiver will decode this thing. Decode means understanding the message what the sender intend to mean. What the sender intend to mean is called decoding. And lastly comes feedback. Feedback means the receiver will give a feedback to the sender that he has understood the message. What message the sender intend to give, the receiver has understood that message in toto, in full. That is called the feedback. So this completes the communication process. Any doubt up to this point? If you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. Any doubt? Please give me your feedback.
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then types of communication. Then one is verbal and non-verbal. Now, verbal means your oral and written communication. So, verbal means oral as well as written. Oral means what we are saying is oral, and if it is in written form, then it is written communication. Sometimes we have the miscommunication, misconception that verbal means only the oral communication, but it is not true, because we have a notion that whenever we are using the term verbal, it means oral. It is not true. So verbal means oral and written communication. Then non-verbal. Here comes body language, and here we are concerned with gesture and posture. Okay. Now regarding gesture, three types. One, give. Number two, serve. Number three, shop. We have three type of gesture, that is give, sell and shop. Give means I am waving my hand and showing that I intend to give something to the public. This is called give. And then comes self, means touching your, what can I say, touching your chest, asserting assertiveness. You need to assert yourself before the public that yes, you want to give something. You need to assert yourself. Means it say, what can I say, it symbolizes your confidence. It is called self. Then comes chop, means waving your hand fanatically in order to justify your point. You need to justify your point, and so you are waving your hand. So up to this, any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Next comes posture. Now posture, some people are feel so jittery and so edgy when they face the audience. So the tendency is that when there is a slideshow or say video presentation is there, they face against the audience. Instead of facing the audience, they face against the audience, means they turn their back towards the audience. So as a result, it gives the impression that these people are extremely nervous, extremely edgy, and extremely jittery. So they don't have the, what can I say, confidence to look into the eyes of the audience, and this body language, this posture, what can I say, gives an impression to the audience that these people are worthless and they don't have the confidence to face the audience. So automatically what the people audience will do, they will either boo the speaker or just castigate the speaker or chastise the speaker. So automatically their confidence becomes zero just before the communication starts. So we should be very careful what will be our posture. The best posture will be to face the audience, to look into the eye of the audience and always follow the audience, because there is a term in business communication that is called audience analysis. Means what type of audience are there, you need to see the pulse, you need to feel the pulse of the audience, and you need to follow the audience. Because if audience analysis is not effective, you cannot be a good narrator, you cannot be a good orator. So you have to see, you have to gauge the pulse of the audience. And if you fail to connect with the audience, nobody, no, say you go to any place, you say interview or any say any presentation, nobody will give you importance, and whatever, so what, though you will be a knowledgeable person, but it will be in vain. Okay, so let us start with the forms of communication. Number one, formal. What is formal? I have already explained in my last class, but to recapitulate, there are three types of formal communication. Upward means from the subordinate to the boss, from the subordinate to the boss. Then
From the subordinate?
to the boss, to the top authority, to the top authority.
Mm.
Then downward, from the top boss to the subordinate, from the top boss to the subordinate. Then lateral or horizontal. It means communication amongst the peer group, means people holding the same position If there is a communication, it is called lateral or horizontal communication. Then comes informal. Now what is informal? It means gossip or babbling away. Idle babbling. You know the word babble away means idle chatting. It's called informal. And in management there is a term called grape grapevine. You have seen grapefruit, how the how that plant say how that plant goes forward, how that plant develops. So just like grape, this type of communication flows through the organization. It means idle chatting, and sometimes you see it hard. It's you can say grapevine can damage or destroy the career of a person. Say, take an example. Say, take Santoshi. You are in an organization and you are chatting about the chairman of that organization. And suddenly, to your misfortune, that the remark that you have passed comes to the notice of the chairman. Officially, he will do nothing, he won't call you. But unofficially, he will do great damage to you. He or she will do great damage to you. So be careful about this type of grapevine, because see, in any organization this type of thing follow, and the term is sometimes called, people use devils. Are you aware of this term devil's advocate? Please tell me. If you know, say tell me yes, otherwise no. Hello?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So in every organization there is a tendency to use this technique called devil's or advocate. Suppose you join an organization and you are working under a say person, say who is say experienced say 2 or 3 years more than you. So what that person will do, he will position himself or herself as your friend or as your mentor. Okay, so he will say pass remark, extreme remark about the top authority, about the boss, castigating the boss, top boss, then criticizing the top boss. And what you will do, because you are naive and simple, so you will also join with him or her, and you will try to chastise or castigate the top boss, and automatically you will fall into his trap, and he will pass on that information to the top boss. See, Santoshi has joined the organization and only he has started his journey for 2 to 3 days, and she is such audacious person that she is in a position to castigate yourself. This type of person you have hired. Got it? So this is called devil's advocate. Be careful about this thing in organization. In every organization, this is there. So you cannot say there is an exception. Even in college or school, this type of trick or this tendency is there. You agree with me or not? Tell me.
So agreed.
It is not clear to you.
No, no, sir. I said that I'm agreed with you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So this is about informal communication. Then comes infra intra communication. What is this intra communication? Means You are murmuring, you are say, mumbling something within your mind. Something is going on inside your mind. You are not, you are, what can I say, it is going to implode within yourself. You are not in a position to say, share your feeling or say, share your thought with other peers or other friends. So what the communication that goes within you is called intra communication. And trust one thing, that there is only one good friend in the world, and that is you. Only you can help yourself. Nobody in the world can help yourself. So if you have a will, there is a way. If you think that friend will help you, it is not so. It is not the case, because I have a experience of more than 2 decades, so I can share my views that it is you who will help yourself. And this intra communication helps a lot. It helps to say gauge your strength and weakness. And if you see that there is some lacuna in me, so I have to work on that lacuna and try to hone my skill. This is called intra communication. Up to this, is it okay? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Then come inter intercommunication means communication between two group or two person just to have an exchange of idea. It is called intercommunication. Okay. Then we have public. Then we have public communication. What is public communication? When the political leader are addressing a meet, or when the business leader are addressing a meet, it is called public communication, and it is mainly one-way communication because people don't receive any feedback from the audience. And lastly comes mass communication. What is mass communication? Whenever I will use media like TV or computer or other thing that will reaches the masses at a time, it is called mass communication. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So basically, I have shared with you the communication meaning, communication type, and communication process. Let me just share the notes that I have shared in the group. Just a minute. You can see, is the screen visible to you? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
So this is one-way communication model, means message, encode, channel, receiver. But here the receiver is not giving any feedback. Once the receiver gives feedback, it becomes two-way communication. Just like this, the diagram. You just go through the note that I posted on the Google Classroom. Now, these are the types of communication that I have explained. One-way communication means there is no feedback, and two-way communication means that you are giving a feedback. Verbal and non-verbal communication I have already explained. Formal and informal communication I have already explained. Interpersonal and intrapersonal I have explained. Group communication means communication between two groups. Public communication, mass communication. So basically these are all about communication. Now up to this you give me your feedback. Have you understood the concept regarding communication? Because now I will show you a audio video presentation, means the course which I completed, and it was conducted by IIM people. So I will share that video with you. So have you understood the basic concept of communication? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us share the video. Just a minute. Just a minute. Now can you see the screen? Tell me. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please listen to it.
In this segment, we shall discuss a definition
It is audible. Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
of the term communication. This is important as it establishes a fundamental concept and is a precursor to the more detailed topics that follow. The term communication derives from the Latin word communicare, which means to share. Humans, animals, and plants, and sometimes even inanimate objects, exhibit different levels of communication or signaling capability. Let's look at a simple definition of the term. Communication is the process of conveying intended meaning from one entity or group to another through the use of mutually understood signs and rules. In this definition, there are a few important and noteworthy insights. Consider the phrase intended meanings. Here, the word intended signifies that there is a
Now the most important part is that in communication, intended meaning means what the sender wants to convey to the receiver. That meaning the receiver should understand that thing in totality. Unless and until the receiver understands this in totality, the communication process won't be successful.
purpose associated with this activity, that the originator wishes to convey something specific, implying a predefined purpose. As examples, advertisements seek to influence us to buy a product or a service. Politicians want their audiences to vote for them. Artists seek to expand your worldview, and parents seek to mold the behavior of their children. Secondly, the term meanings suggests the transfer of emotion, information, concepts, or ideas. This implies that the message contains much more than mere data. In fact, every transaction provides the recipient with not just the text, words, or pictures, which are the direct and obvious signals, but also the emotional, tonal, physical, logical, and contextual cues.
Now see, basically we have discussed plain communication, but along with this thing, there are certain emotional, tonal, physical, logical, and contextual cues are there. We say this cues means we are the thing that we intend to convey. Say emotion. If I say kindly switch off your microphone, I am very polite. Or if I say just switch off your microphone, you see the tone, the emotion. This is called, the term is called meta communication. Got it? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
These supplementary inputs, sometimes referred to collectively as meta communication, adds to the basic signals and enhances what may be understood or inferred from that message. When both of these components are interpreted simultaneously, the recipient experiences the total impact of the message and is able to discern a much more complete understanding than what might have been possible from the data or text alone. Returning to the definition of communication, another point to be noted is that there are multiple parties involved in each set of communication transactions, and that these parties could be single entities or even groups. For example, in the case of business related communication, we could have businesses communicating with businesses, both within their organizations or with external parties such as customers, suppliers, investors, and service providers. Or businesses communicating with consumers, and conversely, consumers communicating with vendors or service providers. And finally, consumers communicating amongst themselves via social media or other means. Next, the definition of communication involves the use of mutually understood signs and rules, which implies that the effectiveness of a piece of communication is critically dependent on the participants having something in common, be it knowledge, language, prior experience, culture, or context. Without this shared meaning or shared knowledge, the transaction is unlikely to be effective. As an example, when I use the term Benelux, I refer to the politico-economic union of three neighboring states in Western Europe, which are Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. When I use the term, I assume that the audience knows as much geography or political science as I do, or has enough knowledge or experience to figure out what I am referring to. Now, if my assumption was incorrect, the audience would hardly be able to make sense of what I had just said. And finally, communication is a process. An understanding of the process of communication allows you to be more effective in conveying intended meanings to others, and as such, empowers you to be a more effective person as well as a professional. In the next segment, we will look at the process and also other further details.
So this is all about communication. So today I just showed you the basic definition of communication. In my next class, I will show video on, say, on body language, on meta communication and communication barrier. So just wait for a few minutes because I need to take the attendance. Just a minute. I will take a screenshot. Yes. 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 So this is all about today's class. So if you have any queries, doubts, feel free to ask me.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that's all for today. Have a nice day. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
you, sir.
Okay.